Imagine sitting at your office desk on a quiet Saturday afternoon, listening to the synchronized, chaotic buzzing of 25 mobile devices vibrating across an entire extended family network, only to open a group chat and realize your husband has just accidentally broadcasted his luxury hotel rendezvous with your own sister to your entire lineage. It doesn't begin with a loud, theatrical screaming match. It begins with the simple, mechanical chime of a misdirected iMessage banner dropping across the screens of your parents, your uncles, your cousins, and your partners, and the freezing, absolute realization that the 6-word text string, "I'm in the room waiting for you," accompanied by a real-time glowing blue GPS coordinates pin, was meant for the woman who shared your childhood home. I didn't lose my breath, I didn't smash my device, and I didn't scream down the line. I simply watched him frantically attempt to utilize the Delete for Everyone feature 3 seconds too late, called our family's corporate asset protection attorneys, and executed a quiet, systematic legal excommunication that would leave him completely penniless and erase his name from our commercial real estate dynasty before the sun set over the mountains. Let me show you how a precise, detail-oriented woman can turn a public digital blunder into an immediate, total asset forfeiture without ever raising her pitch or altering her posture. My name is Brooklyn. I am 38 years old. If you saw me managing the corporate risk compliance data and commercial asset portfolios behind the dual monitors at our family's private wealth consulting firm in the Mountain District of Aspen, Colorado, you would see a highly precise laws of data verification and structural documentation. I didn't inhabit a disorganized world where major milestones happened by accident or emotional impulse. My home was an expansive contemporary mountain villa overlooking the valley, a space built on 9 years of absolute, simple devotion and a rigid lifestyle pattern that I believed was completely secure. I managed the household accounts, monitored our network firewalls, and organized our investments with the exact same mathematical precision I used to protect corporate clients from internal fraud. I believed that this transparent routine was the ultimate shield against the world. To our professional and social circle, my marriage to Liam was the absolute benchmark of a stable, deeply aligned modern partnership. We were the operational anchor of the Vance family lineage. We didn't have separate financial silos, hidden schedules, or unresolved domestic friction. We utilized integrated calendar applications, maintained a shared cloud ledger for our real estate holdings, and shared a digital environment where 25 members of our extended family, parents, siblings, uncles, and cousins, remained continuously synchronized through a massive, lively family group chat used to coordinate our weekly corporate meetings, holiday dinners, and asset distributions. I believed that this structural transparency was the ultimate proof of honor, completely unaware that the safety protocols I designed were about to map out the complete destruction of my innocence. My husband, Liam, was 40. He was a senior commercial asset manager at our boutique investment firm, a man whose charm was smooth, calculated, and immensely effective with high net worth developers. He was broad-shouldered, with a wardrobe full of premium custom-tailored suits, dark hair that he kept perfectly groomed for high-end corporate dinners, and a confident, easy laugh that made him highly popular at the local country clubs. He was the model of a fiercely dedicated, supportive provider. He spent his weekends reviewing property development logs, he never missed an anniversary dinner, and he returned to our villa every evening with a tired but structured smile, kissing my forehead before reviewing our weekly investment balances. He always positioned himself as the primary protector of our future equity, constantly reminding everyone that his grueling navigation of commercial real estate parameters was the only mechanism expanding our lifestyle. I trusted that sharp professional pride implicitly. He wasn't a reckless gambler. He was a man who lived by legal timelines and market data, and I believed that a man whose entire career depended on strict regulatory compliance couldn't possibly possess the chaotic, reckless cruelty required to forge an alternative lifestyle inside his own home. I offered him an absolute, unvarnished loyalty, completely unaware that the proud man managing our joint accounts was using our systematic routine to camouflage a total liquidation of my emotional stability. The second parameter in this lifestyle matrix was my younger sister, Chloe. Chloe was 34, a sleek, calculating woman whom I had integrated into our firm's digital marketing division to manage our high-end luxury residential listings. She was my closest childhood relative, the person who had shared my university milestones and stood as the primary maid of honor at my wedding. She managed her life with a superficial, overly attentive sweetness directed toward our parents, positioning herself as the ultimate family confidant. Because our firm required continuous coordination during the summer development cycle, Chloe was a constant, integrated element of our corporate and domestic perimeter. She possessed access keys to our corporate servers, attended our private weekend dinners, and frequently traveled with us to evaluate luxury hospitality acquisitions across the state line. I viewed her as a biological extension of my own identity, a sister in survival. I remember sitting on our veranda during the previous spring gala, watching Chloe review a property layout with Liam near the outdoor fireplace, and feeling a deep sense of psychological peace. I had no idea that while she was accepting my corporate funding and utilizing my resources to balance her personal design sheets, she was actively utilizing my late-night compliance shifts at the firm to construct a parallel, parasitic relationship with my husband. They believed that the absolute scale of our traditional family structure, the noise of 25 relatives constantly talking about land options, corporate dividends, and holiday travel, was a permanent sensory camouflage that would keep me entirely blind to their movements. They treated our shared bloodline as an administrative shield to execute a systematic deception right in front of my face. Trust inside a traditional family dynasty is the most dangerous vulnerability a woman can possess because she assumes ancestral respect and shared blood act as a permanent moral boundary against malice. When you are focused on protecting the family's financial legacy, your brain automatically categorizes your sister's interactions as safe, leaving you entirely unprotected against a systematic deception. Have you ever realized that the relative you brought into your business was quietly using your corporate resources to fund an affair with your husband? Tell me your experience below. The physical breakdown of their camouflage initialized at precisely 3:15 p.m. on a scorching Saturday afternoon. Our entire extended family network was scattered across the county. My parents were at their mountain estate, the cousins were at the country club, and I was sitting in the quiet, glass-fronted study of our villa, reviewing the quarterly compliance logs for our real estate fund. Liam had left the property at noon, stating that an urgent commercial appraisal at a new boutique resort downtown required his physical presence and that his device battery was dangerously low. Suddenly, my desktop monitor and my personal smartphone buzzed simultaneously. Across the valley, 23 other devices emitted the exact same synchronized notification chime. It was the distinct alert sound reserved for our primary family group chat, the digital network containing all 25 relatives and spouses. I glanced down at the screen, expecting a routine holiday update from an uncle or a schedule change for Sunday dinner. The message box did not contain a family greeting. It was a crude, direct operational coordination string sent from Liam's verified account. The text read, "I'm in the room, waiting for you. Main elevator requires the VIP keycard." Attached directly beneath the text string was a glowing real-time blue geographical coordinates pin from the Find My application. The system processed a pinpoint GPS location that placed his device inside a private luxury penthouse suite at the St. Regis Resort downtown, the exact boutique hospitality asset our firm had reviewed the previous month. 2 seconds later, a frantic text bubble appeared beneath the data string. Liam had attempted to utilize the application's Delete for Everyone feature, but because the local resort network was experiencing a minor data bottleneck, the command delayed. The raw text and the live location pin remained rendered on 25 screens for 45 seconds, an eternity inside a forensic compliance network. Before the bubble finally dissolved, a secondary notification banner dropped across the interface. Chloe's account, operating from her residence 2 miles away, had accidentally fired a panicked response into the main group chat before she realized the channel was public. Her text read, "Liam, delete it now. Everyone can see the pin." The silence that settled over the family network was immediate, heavy, and suffocating. No one typed a response, no cousin posted a joke, no aunt asked for clarification. The digital interface froze into a silent vacuum as 23 corporate stakeholders stared at their screens, processing the absolute, unvarnished data of a domestic treason executed by the firm's senior asset manager and the head of marketing. A life spent auditing financial fraud teaches you that the moment you react with emotional panic, you give the perpetrator the opportunity to corrupt the files and invent a defensive cover story. My pulse remained perfectly flat. My steel gray eyes narrowed into a cold, clinical target. I didn't scream, I didn't drop my tablet, and I didn't dial Liam's number to weep down the line. A woman who manages multi-million-dollar real estate risks does not flinch at a misdirected text block. I connected my tablet to our secure database, captured high-resolution digital screenshots of the entire unedited chat log, including the metadata, the transmission timestamps, and Chloe's panic response, and synchronized the files directly to our firm's legal cloud backup. Within 10 minutes, before Liam could even exit the resort elevator to sprint to his vehicle, the raw evidence was secured under a permanent encryption protocol. I stood up from my desk, walked down the contemporary hallway, and contacted our lineage's Senior Asset Protection Council. "The operational contract with Liam is void," I said into the receiver, my voice dropping into a flat, mechanical deadness. "Initiate the emergency insulation protocol on the trust deeds immediately. The data has just finalized the account." I didn't wait at the villa to participate in a chaotic physical screaming match when Liam returned from the resort. I knew the exact script of an executive caught in a public blunder. He would claim his account was compromised by a foreign hacker, or that he was simply setting up a surprise anniversary suite for me and invited Chloe to evaluate the interior marketing layouts. I wasn't going to spend a single hour inside their defensive theater. I left my physical keycard on the quartz kitchen counter, checked in to a high-security penthouse suite at our firm's private corporate lodge, and spent the weekend executing an aggressive, silent financial and legal liquidation. By Monday morning, the documentation for his absolute destruction was finalized. The subsequent dissolution process did not resemble a standard, amicable Colorado divorce. It transformed into a massive, multi-layered commercial and civil war that completely split our affluent social network down the center. On Monday morning, less than 48 hours after the group chat notification buzzed, my legal counsel delivered a formal 200-page petition to the district court. It wasn't a simple request for division of property. It was an aggressive, fault-based liquidation brief grounded in civil fraud, breach of fiduciary trust, and grand concealment of lineage assets. The legal strategy was absolute. Utilizing my administrative credentials as the primary manager of our family's real estate consulting trust, I had spent the weekend downloading every single banking ledger, every tax filing, and every land option contract we had synchronized over 9 years. I discovered that Liam had used our joint family development funds to finance a series of secret commercial property options for Chloe's private digital marketing agency, listing our personal estate as the primary guarantor without my explicit signature on the validation lines. When I presented the certified screenshots of the group chat, the real-time GPS timestamps from the resort penthouse, and the forged financial signatures to the presiding commercial judge, the psychological defense Liam attempted to construct completely dissolved. He hired an expensive celebrity defense attorney who spent 3 months attempting to claim that the group chat data was an accidental transmission that did not constitute proof of an ongoing civil fraud. The judge, a senior, unyielding legal authority with 30 years of experience auditing commercial asset disputes, sat at his elevated bench, reviewed the digital file layout, and shook his head with an expression of profound, chilling disgust. "This is not an issue of an accidental text," the judge ruled, his voice echoing off the paneled walls of the courtroom. "The administrative integrity of this court will not protect a financial predator behind his own blunders." The litigation dragged through 6 months of intense forensic discovery, but the outcome was mathematical. Under the strict parameters of Colorado commercial and family codes regarding the intentional dissipation of community property for a non-marital relationship, the judge executed an absolute total asset forfeiture. Every single asset, the multi-million-dollar contemporary mountain villa, the joint corporate investment portfolios, the liquid cash reserves, and the residual rights to our consulting trust were awarded entirely to me. Liam was left with nothing but his clothing and a massive debt obligation to cover my firm's legal fees. He was left completely penniless in the middle of the city. But the total liquidation of Liam's financial existence was only the primary sector of the audit. The collateral damage hit Chloe with the exact same unyielding force. On the same day the court filed the freezing injunctions, my father, the patriarch of the Vance Real Estate Fund, called an extraordinary meeting of the corporate board. Bypassing her digital access keys, the board voted unanimously to permanently terminate Chloe from her marketing position, stripping her of her corporate shares and blacklisting her agency from every commercial development network in the state. She was completely excommunicated from the lineage. Her name was deleted from our family trust records, her entry codes to our properties were deactivated, and our parents refused to answer a single phone call or text string from her number. She became an absolute ghost within the community she had spent her life trying to manipulate. Her professional reputation completely flattened by the data string she had accidentally verified inside the group chat. 2 separate empires of superficial suburban success were entirely dismantled because a thumb slipped on a touchscreen. The final verification of their ruin materialized inside the high-end executive conference room of my law firm in downtown Aspen. The legal teams had assembled to sign the closing transfer manifests for the real estate deeds and asset titles, a formal, cold ritual that marked the absolute conclusion of the 6-month war. I didn't walk into that corporate space wearing an office suit or a rigid uniform. I stepped through the glass double doors wearing an exceptionally beautiful, gorgeous, deep plum silk midi sundress with a delicate flowing skirt and an elegant neckline that caught the ambient track lighting beautifully. It was a stunning, sophisticated dress designed for a high-end social setting, making me look radiant, effortlessly beautiful, and completely independent. My honey chestnut hair fell in soft, natural waves down my shoulders, and my steel gray eyes held a terrifying, razor-sharp clarity. But the most striking transformation was not the plum silk dress. It was the expression on my face. My lips were turned upward into a powerful, quiet, slight smile of absolute victory. A calm, knowing Zafer Tebessumi that held no anger, no malice, and no remaining sorrow. It was the smile of an expert auditor who had tracked the anomaly, executed the protocol, and won every single piece of the board. Liam was sitting at the opposite end of the mahogany table, looking 30 years older, his tailored clothes loose against his frame, his dark hair disheveled, his face completely pale and hollow. He looked like a ghost trapped inside a corporate office. Chloe sat exactly 2 feet to his left, her business closed, her family erased, her eyes fixed on the carpet with the absolute broken silence of a permanent defeat. I walked slowly to the head of the table, my silk dress rustling softly against the leather chairs, my steel gray eyes locked onto Liam's trembling hands as I slid the final transfer documents across the wood. "Brooklyn," Liam stammered, his voice thin, cracked, and completely stripped of his former smooth corporate confidence. "The judge took the entire portfolio. I can't even afford the deposit on a 1-bedroom apartment in this city. Chloe is living in a rented trailer outside the county line. You took absolutely everything we built over 9 years. Was it really worth completely destroying our lives just for an accidental message in a family group chat?" I signed the bottom line of the real estate deed with a clean, unhurried stroke of my pen, closed the leather folder, and looked down at them from the head of the table, my powerful victory smile deepening with absolute, unvarnished indifference. "I didn't destroy your portfolio, Liam," I replied, my voice perfectly flat, carrying the cold finality of a system report. "I simply allowed the Colorado legal system to output the exact reality of the data you chose to broadcast to 25 people. You chose to sign a digital contract of your own betrayal while my family was funding your lifestyle. Enjoy the final compilation of your choices." I picked up my secure drive, turned on my heel, and walked out of the boardroom into the bright mountain sunlight. Behind me, the double doors clicked shut with a heavy metallic finality, leaving the 2 traitors completely broke, exposed, and isolated inside the vacuum of their own greed. My path finally stood on its unshakable foundation. Do you know why I'm telling you this story from the top of this mountain ridge today? Because the predators and deceivers of this world want you to believe that if you are a regular, structured person who focuses on your data and trusts your family, you are too weak to defend your own life. They think that because you are quiet, because you ignore their small slights while coordinating their family assets, you must be blind to their large conspiracies. They believe that a gaslighted heart will always collapse into useless tears. but they do not understand the absolute, unalterable laws of patience and documentation. Your life does not belong to the people who try to manipulate your absence using your own group chats, and you don't need a loud screaming match, a public scene, or a chaotic confrontation to execute absolute justice. You just need the cold, silent discipline to collect the data, secure the evidence, and wait for the exact moment to let their own greed pull the trigger on their existence. Liam and Chloe thought they could steal my sanctuary because I was a quiet auditor at a phone screen. They forgot the most basic rule of the system backups. The woman who manages the files always knows exactly how to liquidate the assets. I am Brooklyn. The audit is finalized, the asset is secured, and my path finally stands on its own unshakable foundation. Now I have a final question for you, the person listening to my voice in the quiet of your own room tonight. If you discovered your husband had accidentally broadcasted his secret rendezvous with your sister to your entire extended family chat, would you lose your temper and scream at them over the phone, or would you wait patiently for your legal team to freeze their entire corporate asset structure and watch them get removed by investigators in front of their own board partners? Tell me your strategy in the comments below. I am analyzing your logic.